Welcome to Succeed with Shanice, a podcast about keeping it real and helping you thrive in every aspect of your professional journey. I am Shanice, the CEO, sharing my unique perspective as a Black woman in HR and business ownership, and spotlighting conversations where BIPOC experiences in the workplace are shared, valued, and celebrated. Thank you for tuning in today to Succeed with Shanice. My name is Shanice, your HR bestie, and today we're talking about how we can step boldly into our roles, choosing purpose over politics, and focusing on who we are becoming and not how society perceives our power. Right now, we're seeing a shift in workplaces where DEI programs are under attack. And leadership pipelines for women of color are seriously at risk. But here's the truth. Our purpose is much bigger than these politics and these games that are being played within and around the workplace environment. And no external force can strip away our power when we stand firm in who we are. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about how we can choose our purpose over politics to step boldly into our power. Before we get started on our topic today, I do want to share a brief story of a situation where I had to really dive into what my power is and further embolden myself to continue to operate in my power through my work and in my business. I was advised to be more neutral in my brand so that it didn't seem as if in any way I was being discriminatory, and for it to align with the current DEI initiatives and executive orders of today. The purpose of this advice, I think, that was being given to me was basically to ensure that more opportunities and funding would be available to me in the work that I do and to help grow my business and for me to be successful in the work that I do. But I found it very challenging to think about shifting from where I currently am and the work that I believe is meaningful in what I do. My active work in pushing past what is easy to do what is necessary is my internal driver. I choose to prioritize the success of Black women and women of color in the workplace on purpose because they are the least resourced and underpaid in every industry across the globe. And so I didn't necessarily see myself excluding anyone, but rather ensuring that I was carving out specific space, intentional space for professional women who have been historically marginalized and overlooked for far too long. I'm sharing this story because I want to show that I too am doing the work that I will be sharing in today's podcast. This is a season where the world has many opinions in how we as women should exist and do all the things that we do. However, those opinions do not have to dictate our power or how we succeed in this world. So for those who may not be aware or informed on what's going on within the political landscape right now, most specifically as it relates to DE&I, I want to share very briefly what is going on currently and how it pretty much sets the stage for today's podcast episode. So here we go. Recent developments indicate a significant shift in corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DE&I, initiatives. Several prominent companies that we are all very familiar with, including Target, Walmart, Meta, and McDonald's, have scaled back and restructured their DEI programs in response to political pressures as it relates to the Trump administration's recent executive orders, and change their social sentiments around how they may or may not advocate for DE&I efforts. These cutbacks and DEI initiatives can have an adverse impact on women of color in the workplace. One being loss in career advancement. These programs have essentially given women of color access to leadership training and mentorship opportunities. With these programs now shrinking and being defunded, many women of color now face fewer opportunities to be able to move up in their careers. And so these cutbacks are impacting the possibilities that they may have in advancing in their work and in their career journey. Another impact is declining sponsorship opportunities. As DEI initiatives fade, so do sponsorships, which are critical for women of color to be promoted and recognized. Without advocates in leadership, we as Black women and women of color are at risk now of being passed over for key opportunities, which leads to also leadership gaps. With fewer DEI efforts, the pipeline to leadership roles for women of color begin to shrink, and leaving them less represented in decision-making positions and at a disadvantage in climbing the corporate ladder. One that is actually dear to my heart, where DEI cutbacks can impose an adverse effect on women of color, is the potential increase in bias and microaggressions in the workplace. The reduction of DEI initiatives leaves workplace bias and microaggressions unaddressed, adding emotional stress and creating an unwelcoming environment for us as women of color, whether as employees or leaders within our right. So this involves us as women to have this heightened need for self-advocacy. With limited formal support, women of color must increasingly advocate for themselves now, putting extra pressure on us to navigate our career progression and secure recognition in environments that may not prioritize our growth due to these cutbacks. So, and if you want to learn more about this, I'm happy to have deeper conversations, because as the DEI cutbacks or changes start to really shift what our organizations are deciding to do and what our workplace landscape will look like, it's very important that I made sure to highlight at the top of this episode that the impacts of what this can cause and the landscape that it is leaving us as women of color to have to navigate as we push forward in trying to build our purpose over, politics. And I want to make sure that we were all pretty much on an even playing field and knowing what is going on, and then hopefully establish by the end of this episode how we can combat it together. So let's get to the topic of how, one, we can truly break the mold and redefining what power is, and most specifically what power is to us as women in leadership. One, power is not about perception. It is all about impact. Knowing and seeing how you are making a meaningful impact in the spaces that you're in, with the communities that you're serving, in the work that you do, brings added value to how you can redefine the power that you have within those spaces. Preconceptions of women in leadership roles have been ridiculous and up and down, right? Depending on who we're assessing or who we are asking this question of. So those moments where it has been decided that women are less effective than men, or that women prioritize family over their own careers as being a problem, or women are just too emotional or too aggressive to be in the leadership roles they're in. All of these different preconceived notions have in fact historically pushed women from being able to have the opportunities to lead, whether voluntary or involuntary. We can talk about unconscious bias later, but that's really how this has showed up for us as women, where we go to seek a leadership role or just try to own the positions that we are in as leaders. However, I feel that all of these qualities and more should be possessed, should be managed within a leader's makeup, because it allows them, one, to be human as they are, but also allows them to have empathy with their team and understand that they too have emotions and they too have families and they too can be very passionate in the work that they do. So being able to combat these preconceived notions can be a challenge. This I know. But being able to harness what truly defines power, and not just who we are, but how we are impacting or making an impact in the spaces that we are in, is very much more important than some of the characteristics or biases that society chooses to throw onto this specific demographic, women leaders. So I ask that in this moment, you start thinking about what actually do you want to make an impact on? What areas within your life, within your career, within your service work, what are those areas where you want to make an impact, and what does that look like? Because that in itself is what's going to define the power that you have within you. Next, I want to get a little bit into the politics of it all, but not quite. There again, as I said at the top of this episode, we are in a very evolving times when it comes to how the workplace is being dictated by government regulations and the things that are just going on within politics in general. I want to offer that we start thinking about how our purpose completely overshadows politics. That we choose to thrive despite any of the pushback that may be going on out there related to how we as women leaders show up and how we do our work. I believe that there is value in strategic resilience, not just being resilient itself, but being strategically resilient in, again, how we show up, in the work that we do, and how we use the harness power we've already redefined to be able to move forward in our purpose. And you're probably wondering, Shanice, how can I do that? Well, let me give you a couple tips, 3 tips, in fact, on how you can start really moving into your purpose and away from all the noise of the politics in a more strategic way to be able to harness resiliency in your work and in your life. And that starts, one, with having or at least building a strong alliance inside and outside of work. I have had the honor, blessing, in every position that I've held to be able to build an alliance with prospective individuals within my work or within my workspace, as well as outside of it, to not only support me in the work that I do and build the collaboration and the partnership to get the work done, but also to continue to inspire and inform in how I can do that work and what that could look like. That's really what a strong alliance should be. It should be a group of people that are able to feed into you while you're also feeding into them. A group of people that you can call on for any type of assistance or any type of support in whatever initiative that you're working on or whatever agenda you're trying to get buy-in for. This group should be strong enough to hold you up when you can't hold yourself. And I feel that is very important, to be able to lean on folks that know you, that understand you, that align with your values, so that you can be able to move into whatever arena, whatever spaces you're moving in, without getting caught up in not feeling supported, not feeling like you have any allyship, or just feeling isolated. So being able to build strong alliances to support the work that you're doing, but also support the values and beliefs that you have in the work, or in the purpose that you're trying to strive for, is very important. 2, I will say that staying informed is very, very important as well. Knowing what's going on within your industry, your field of work, or even just the overall economic landscape is very important. Again, I'm not saying get lost in all of the things, getting lost in all of the ever-changing landscape that we are currently living in, but being aware of what's going on, what's being talked about, and what those changes are. I believe that staying informed and being aware in that right allows you to be proactive in the work that you do. It allows you to know what can be done and what can't be done. It allows you to prepare for what might be coming in your direction for your organization, whatever field of work you oversee, or even just any advocacy work that you do within your community. Staying informed really pushes you to have a better foundation in being proactive in that way. And it allows for you to be able to make decisions that are impact driven within programming, within the work that you do for your team, within making decisions on what next level you may be taking your business. All of that helps to pretty much mold where you're going within your role or within your business and get you there with ease, because you're already aware of some of the challenges, the barriers that may come your way that you'll need to tackle when they come. So stay informed, stay aware. Again, don't get lost, but stay aware so that you can be proactive in the work that you do and being strategically resilient in who you are within your business or your career. And then lastly, make your presence undeniable. Always be ready to share your relevance when necessary. And I am saying that very slowly and carefully, because we as women of color heavily get questioned on our value when we walk into rooms. We're probably doing the questioning in our own mind before anyone else has posed a question. So making sure that you know your impact, you know the great work that you do, you have the receipts of your work on hand, yes, is important, and dish it out only when necessary. That's how we can ensure that our presence is completely undeniable no matter what space we walk into. 1, we have the receipts, so we know how valuable we are. But 2, should it be questioned, should someone decide to ask for said receipts, you already have them on the ready. I know for me, there have been times even when I had to show those receipts, or those receipts went ahead of me because of the strong alliance that I've already built, right? And being informed about some of the different communities and individuals and stakeholders that I was going to be engaging with within my work. So sometimes those receipts was already up in the room in front of everybody in that boardroom before I even stepped in. So I didn't even need to say anything, but I made sure that I was prepared in walking in with undeniable boldness, because I knew that for me to be as impactful as I want to be and handle the purpose that I was striving for, that I needed to own that, right? So make your presence known and completely undeniable in the work that you do, and you will find yourself strategically being sustainable and resilient in your organizations, and most of all, in the career that you're setting up for yourself. Because honestly, we can't afford to wait for permission from anybody. We, as women leaders of color, we are the movement. It is our success that is non-negotiable. So walk in that, hold that, own that, and take bold moves. And when I say bold moves, I really mean just owning your career no matter the climate. Because I know right now things are very much sporadic and uncertain. We are in unprecedented times. And that is okay for the time being. But by owning our career, it doesn't matter what's going on around us. Being able to own who we are and walk boldly in the career and the work that we do is more important and more sustainable than anything, because life will always change, things will always shift, but who we are can only grow and develop. And so when we talk about development, really owning who we are starts with investing in our own development. So seek out leadership training, whether it's at your job or outside of. I know it is a reality right now where a lot of organizations are experiencing funding issues, where there might be cuts in professional development resources. And we as women of color are all too familiar about the lack of resources, and most specifically those resources allocated to our development. So being able to seek outside of work some of those trainings and mentorship programs to help with our own development is very important. Build community that drives the support of where you want to go in your career. Whether that's a mentorship circle. I know I started a LinkedIn group, Living in Her Designs. Go ahead and check that out. And there's so many other communities out there, though, within your field of work, within your affinity, whatever that looks like. Building community that helps to support every phase that you're growing into in your career is really important as you move boldly within your career and in your purpose. And then create opportunities rather than waiting for them. I mean, that speaks for itself, right? Whatever opportunities you want for yourself, if you don't see it out there, honestly, that just might be the universe telling you to fill that gap. Because who would be more informed about the need and the value of that opportunity that you're seeking than you? So consider creating the opportunity if you don't see it out there for you. And not only is that going to help develop you, but you're also impacting so many others who might be having similar challenges. Honestly, with everything that I shared, and I know I'm moving very fast because my time is but limited in this podcast, and I could talk all day about this, but we don't have all day, right? Because we got things to do. But with all of this, you honestly don't need any executive order or program to validate your excellence. This is personal power over corporate approval, guys, okay? Gals, y'all, right? Personal power over corporate approval. You are the asset. You have the power to make the career you desire. So I encourage you to step boldly and go out and get that. Whatever that is for you. Again, whether it's within your workspace and getting that opportunity as a leader of a division or an entire institution, whether that's starting your own entrepreneurial journey and starting your business to be the solution for the problem that you are tired of seeing every day, or even just moving laterally into a new or different field of work because you just want new challenges and new experiences. Whatever that looks like for you, you hold the power. So step up, step boldly, and own your authority in all those spaces. Ways that you can do that is by saying yes to opportunities and no to limitations. Advocate for yourself and advocate for others. Because honestly, if you're feeling underappreciated, so are so many others. So call it out in your authority and bring that change that you want to see. Find a mentor or a sponsor, because there's no problem in seeking help and having that support to encourage you to stay in action. Or you can build a legacy. Don't build a resume. As you are moving in your career, be sure to focus more on making the bold moves that align with the legacy that you want to leave. Gone are the days of us working just for experience, especially when our experiences shape our impact. So in this moment, in everything that is going on in this world, it's not just about being in the room anymore, but it's about using your voice in that room boldly and taking bold actions that not only develop yourself, but then role model to the next generation behind you that it is possible for them as Black women and women of color. So my time is almost up, but I do want to leave y'all with some just encouragement and empowerment, because this month is International Women's Day, and we are reminded by their international theme to accelerate action by walking into rooms boldly, owning our power, and demanding change. So no matter how society perceives your power, remember, you are built for this. So choose purpose every time, every day, every moment, every hour. And I want to hear from you. So feel free to share with me in the comments, what's one bold move you're making this week to step into your purpose? How do you plan to do that? Do you need any support while you're doing that? Share in the comments with me, because I want to make sure that, one, this message resonates with you, or this podcast resonates with you, of course, but also that we all feel encouraged in these times to be our authentic selves always, and to lead from a place of empowerment and a place from knowing our purpose. So share in the comments, what's one bold move you're making this week to step into your purpose? And then I hope you can continue to subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you. And stay connected, because I hope to promote future episodes where we can engage with each other and really talk about the real challenges, barriers, but also victories in being Black women and women of color in leadership. Because again, nothing is going to keep us from being who we are and how we show up. And it's up to us to harness the power within us to be able to show up in the way that we want to and make the impacts that we want to see in this world. So again, thank you for tuning in to Succeed with Shanice with your host and HR bestie, Shanice of Soul Movement Success. And I hope to continue to encourage you as you tune into this podcast in the future. Till next time.